Hey guys, it's Joe from Walk with God, and I really didn't want to do too many of these update videos. I feel like when I do update videos like this, it can give off the impression that this channel is about me and my life, and it's really not. It's not me, it is the cross. It is about the cross. Literally just 1 week after the last update video was posted, God started to do something really big in me. So I think you guys know, but to reiterate, I go to a house church that's networked to other house churches that Francis Chan started. And I started going here in 2019 when I moved up to the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and I've absolutely loved it. The day after the prayer meeting where we watched that one video that Francis Chan shared that impacted me so much, it turned out that someone in one of the other house churches died. I don't think he was 10 years older than me. So, we met as a big family unit in San Francisco. And there was genuine grief over this young man's death, but we also tried to really worship God and trust in God in all of this. The day before, I got the results back from my big board exam, and it turned out that I didn't pass it. So that had been in my mind a little bit. I wasn't dealing with it poorly, but I wasn't dealing with it great. And then pretty much at the very end, right before the last song, Francis is talking, and he points out how the devil likes to try and attack people at their weakest points. And I'm standing there with my eyes closed just thinking, okay, what is the area in me? I'm thinking at first it's one thing, but my mind keeps going back to the test. At first I thought I was just trying to deflect and think on something that was easier. I realized that wasn't the case. I realized what the problem was is that I was still drawing just so much of my confidence and my self-esteem from man and not from God. And I'd known this had been a problem before, it's just not something I had really thought of much in a while. And worse than that, Francis, he's talking about how this guy who just died has met God. And we as Christians want to be as right as possible standing before God because those little lingering sins, they're going to stand out as horrible. And I realized I didn't want to stand before my Creator and have to say that I didn't really genuinely draw my confidence from Him. And so I realized that as we're singing, and I did something I don't do very much. I started crying. I did have a couple of brothers in Christ come over and, help me through it, pray over me, listen to me as I was talking through some really ugly tears. The next day I ended up having a health problem. I'm okay, don't worry, but it did really bring that mortality back to me. I just want to be able to let go and let God's opinion of me be what guides me, not my, performance, not what other people may or may not think of me. I don't want to meet God like that. Since then, it's been a lot better, but I am learning more about why I have that mentality, figuring out how I can kind of counter that mentality. I don't feel personally ready to do a video where I explain how to do this. I think it's a little bit different for everybody. And I don't think that I should talk about this until I've really gotten over this, at least mostly. Because realizing that felt like I had been dropped out of an airplane into the ocean in the middle of the night. And then the health problem the next day was like being hit by a tidal wave and being thrown into a rock. So I still feel like I'm trying to swim and get through these shark-infested waters. That's what it feels like. It feels like God is teaching me how to swim in shark-infested waters. You take on sharks and your fears head on. You punch them right in the face. And I'm also still figuring out what it looks like to retake my exam. And I'm gradually getting some good direction in both of these things. So I thought it was necessary to talk about these. And I know that I'm not the only person who struggles with this particular issue. So if you struggle with it, please try not to be like me. Please try and bring it up to God and to other people first before He breaks you down emotionally. There was one point recently while I was praying and crying, and I kind of just realized, God, I say whatever it takes to get close to you, but if this is what it looks like, at least in that moment when I was praying, I wasn't sure that I really wanted it. Because it is so hard to put all of that on God. It is so hard to do this really deep heart work. And if you're struggling with this, I can say, yeah, it's hard for me too. But I have to trust that it's going to be worth it, and when I'm done at the end of this, I'll talk more about it. Sometimes that's what our relationship with God looks like. Love isn't always happy-go-lucky, and sometimes I make it out to seem that way. I'm sorry if I deceive you guys. Sometimes it really is just tears and lamenting over what you have done wrong against the Lord. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's an important insight into who God's making me to be. Sometimes being a Christian is gritty and tough like this, but it is always worth it, I promise. But for right now, I just want to leave you asking this question. If you had to meet God today, is there anything that you need to deal with before that? Is there anything that you need to bring before Him and just say, Lord, I don't want this. Help this to get out of my life. There are so many ways that you can die before old age, and I don't want any of us to stand before our Maker without having dealt with these things, if possible. And I'm so glad that we have Jesus and that we can, as believers, fall short as we will, but that doesn't mean that we should want to. So guys, please examine yourself. Check out my social media. If you like this or other videos, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed day or a blessed night.